Slips of Speech by John H. Bechtel, Chapter 1. Read for the LibriVox Language Learning Collection, Volume 2. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Slips of Speech, Chapter 1. Taste. Taste is a universal gift. It's been found in some degree in all nations, races, and ages. It's shown by the savage in his love of personal decoration, by the civilized man in his love of art. But while it's thus universal, it's as different among men as their faces, complexions, characters, or languages. Even among people of the same nation it's as different as the degrees of society. The same individual at different periods of life shows this variableness of taste. These diversities of taste imply a susceptibility to improvement. Good taste in writing forms no exception to the rule. While it seems to require some basis in nature, no degree of inborn aptitude will compensate for the lack of careful training. To give his natural taste firmness and fineness, a writer needs to read the best literature, not merely so as to know it, but so as to feel the beauty, the fitness, the charm, the strength, the delicacy of a well-chosen word. The study of the proper arrangement and the most effective expression of our thoughts prompts us to think more accurately. So close is the connection between the thought and its expression that looseness of style in speaking and writing may nearly always be traced to indistinctness and feebleness in the grasp of the subject. No degree of polish in expression will compensate for inadequacy of knowledge, but with the fullest information upon any subject there is still room for the highest exercise of judgment and good sense in the proper choice and arrangement of the thoughts and of the words with which to express them. The concurrent testimony of those best qualified to render a decision has determined that authors reflect the finest literary taste, and these writers should be carefully studied by all who aspire to elegance, accuracy, and strength in literary expression. Fine writing. Never hesitate to call a spade a spade. One of the most frequent violations of good taste consists in the effort to dress a common subject in high-sounding language. The ass in the fable showed his stupidity when he put on the lion's skin and expected the other animals to declare him to be the king of the beasts. The distinction of a subject lies in its own inherent character, and no pompous parade of words will serve to exalt a commonplace theme. Poetic terms. In the expression of homely ideas and the discussion of affairs of everyday life, avoid such poetic forms as o'er for over, ne'er for never, mid for amid, e'en for even, agan for began, twixt for betwixt, neath for beneath, list for listen, oft for often, morn for morning, eve for evening, ere for ever, ear for before, 'tis for it is, 'twas for it was. In all prose composition avoid such poetic forms as swain, white, mead, break, dingle, dell, zephyr. Foreign words. The unrestrained use of foreign words, whether from the ancient or from the modern languages, savors of pedantry and affectation. The ripest scholars in speaking and writing English make least use of foreign words or phrases. Persons who indulge in their use incur the risk of being charged with a desire to exhibit their linguistic attainments. On the other hand, occasions do arise when the use of words from a foreign tongue by one who is thoroughly familiar with them will add both grace and exactness to his style. Rarely use a foreign term when your meaning can be as well expressed in English. Instead of blasé, use surfeited or wearied. For cortège, use procession. For couleur de rose, rose color. For déjeuner, breakfast. For employé, employee. For en route, on the way. For entre nous, between ourselves. For fait accompli, an accomplished fact. For in toto, wholly or entirely. For penchant, inclination. For raison d'être, reason for existence. For recherche, choice, refined. For rôle, part. For soirée dansante, an evening dancing party. For sub rosa, secretly, etc. The following incident from the Detroit Free Press is in point. The gentleman from the West pulled his chair up to the hotel table, tucked his napkin under his chin, picked up the bill of fare, and began to study it intently. Everything was in restaurant French, and he didn't like it. "Here, waiter," he said sternly, "there's nothing on this I want." "Ain't there nothing else you'd like for dinner, sir?" inquired the waiter politely. "Have you got any sine qua non?" the waiter gasped. "No, sir," he replied. "Got any bon mots?" "No, sir." "Got any semper idem?" "Why, no, sir, we ain't." "Got any jus d'esprit?" "No, sir, not a one." "Got any tempus fugit?" "Why, I reckon not, sir." "Got any soirée dansante?" "No, sir." The waiter was edging off. "Got any sine die?" "Oh, no, we ain't, sir." "Got any e pluribus unum?" The waiter's face showed some sign of intelligence. "Oh, seems like I heard of dat, sah," and he rushed out to the kitchen, only to return empty-handed. "We ain't got none, sah," he said, in a tone of disappointment. "Got any mal de mer?" "What, no, sir." The waiter was going to pieces fast. The gentleman from the West was as serene as a May morning. "Got any vice versa?" he inquired again. The waiter could only shake his head. "No? Well, maybe you got some bacon and cabbage and a corn dodger." "Oh, 'deed we have, sir," exclaimed the waiter, in a tone of the utmost relief, and he fairly flew out to the kitchen. Trite expressions. Words and phrases which may once have been striking and effective, or witty and felicitous, but which have become worn out by oft-repeated use, should be avoided. The following hackneyed phrases will serve to illustrate: the staff of life, gave up the ship, counterfeit presentment, the hymeneal altar, bold as a lion, throw cold water upon, the rose upon the cheek, lords of creation, the weaker sex, the better half, the rising generation, tripping the light fantastic toe, the cup that cheers but does not inebriate, in the arms of Morpheus, the debt of nature, the bourne whence no traveller returns, to shuffle off this mortal coil, the devouring element, a brow of alabaster. Pet words. Avoid pet words, whether individual, provincial, or national in their use. Few persons are entirely free from the overuse of certain words. Young people largely employ such words as delightful, delicious, exquisite, and other expressive adjectives, which constitute a kind of society slang. Overworked expressions. Words and phrases are often taken up by writers and speakers, repeated, and again taken up by others, and thus their use enlarges in ever widening circles until the expressions become threadbare. Drop them before they have reached that state. Function, environment, trend, the masses, to be in touch with, to voice the sentiments of, these are enough to illustrate the kind of words referred to. Very vulgar vulgarisms. No one who has any regard for purity of diction and the proprieties of cultivated society will be guilty of the use of such expressions as yaller for yellow, feller for fellow, kittle for kettle, kiver for cover, ingons for onions, cowcumbers for cucumbers, sparagrass for asparagus, yarbs for herbs, taters for potatoes, tomates for tomatoes or tomatoes, bile for boil, hain't for ain't or isn't, het for heated, caned for needed, sot for sat or set, teeny for tiny, fooling you for deceiving you, them for those, shut up for be quiet or be still, or cease speaking, went back on me for deceiving me or took advantage of me, a power of people for a great many people, a power of money for great wealth, a heap of houses for many houses, lots of books for many books, lots of corn for much corn, or large quantities of corn, gents for gentlemen, and many others of a similar character. End of Slips of Speech, Chapter 1, by John H. Bechtel, read by Mike Harris.